Okay, good afternoon. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023. It is 2:04 p.m. We'll start this meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Edwards, and then we'll do introductions.
Okay, I do have one question for County Manager. Is this one the choppy one too?
Yes.
You're gonna give your announcement in a little bit.
Yes, I certainly can.
Oh, okay, that's all I wanted to find out. And I think I'm gonna ask Mr. Bond to lead us in the pledge, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead with introductions. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have interim county manager Robin Campbell, as well as assistant county manager Rob Gelger. We have our clerk of the board, Jamie Caldwell. Next, Vice Chair Menser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement, sir?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to also start today's meeting with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed through our Thurston County YouTube channel. However, we've been having some technical difficulties, so I'll pass it into the interim county manager too.
Thank you, Commissioner. So as we have stated in the past, we are currently having technical difficulties for our live stream. The equipment is not working appropriately. So if you're trying to follow along on YouTube, you may notice that the meeting is extremely choppy and hard to understand. However, we are recording all of our meetings and they will be posted no later than the following day. So if you miss part of the meeting that you're particularly interested in, please look for the recording tomorrow and you'll be able to view the entire meeting, and the quality of the recording should be okay. We expect to have the equipment repaired by the end of this week. So meetings for the rest of the week will be recorded. We do record all our meetings, but particularly right now, the recordings are important. We're making sure that they're posted.
Thank you. Okay, we do have a public hearing at 3:30, so we will be pausing until at 3:30 to attend the public hearings if we're not done with our agenda. So if you're here for those, the public hearings that we have scheduled for today are for the City of Yum and Thurston County Joint Plan Update, as well as the public hearing on an ordinance to amend Thurston County Code, Chapter 8.22.010, regarding the membership of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee that will be taking place at 3:30. Next is the approval of the Tuesday, October 31st, 2023 agenda.
Do you want to highlight any changes? I don't know, sometimes the county manager likes to do that.
Yes, so there were some changes from this morning.
Yes, thank you. There are two changes compared to the agenda that you reviewed this morning. The voucher list has been removed from the consent agenda and placed on a department item. And the item for the corrections contract with Pack Mountain has been removed from a department item and placed on the consent agenda. And those are the two changes that have been made.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns about those changes?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the October 31st agenda?
To approve the proposed agenda for October 31st, 2023 with the changes outlined by the interim county manager.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Well, I hope all this stuff doesn't scare everybody. That's my only discussion.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Next is an opportunity for the public to address the board. I do want to say that the county has reached a tentative agreement with all the remaining bargaining unions. And we're hoping to have a final contract by the end of November. And so just wanted to kind of highlight that. But we'll go ahead and start with public comment. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those members in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public record, subject to public release upon request, pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the Board on Appeal. Thank you for your cooperation. I'll go with those members who have signed up, and then if there's anyone who didn't get a chance to sign up, then you'll have an opportunity to make public comment, and then we will be moving on to Zoom, and I will ask the interim county manager to help me in calling those who have attended via Zoom. First person I have is Vivian Eason.
Good morning, Vivian Eason. I live on Albany Place in Rochester, Washington. And I'm just here as a member of the Thurston County Council on Aging to let you know that the Medical Equipment Bank opens on Thursday on Martin Way at the new building next door to IHOP. And we are there for about a year, and then we'll still be looking for a place a more permanent location. But we wanted to reach out and see if you wanted to coordinate to maybe come and take a tour or just see the setup of the Medical Equipment Bank at some point. That's all I have for today.
Can you
Thank
repeat that, the opening of that?
Thursday, November 2nd. I believe it opens at 10. It's only open about 3 days a week. We run off of volunteers. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else in the boardroom? Mr. Gilbert, go ahead, sir.
So I'm Trowbridge. I live on Patterson Lake. You guys know what I'm here for, same as always. I'd be willing to not talk today if any one of you would be willing to make an appointment with me to talk about this in person. Any of you willing?
I'm willing, but I'd also like to hear you speak today, if you don't mind.
So what's going on? I've, been able to have conversations with Mr. Gelder and Mr. Whitford. They don't seem to know what's going on. I don't think they want me involved anyway. But here we are at a stage where apparently we're not going to have a scientist anymore. The whole program was based on the county was going to run it, and the county scientist was going to be the one who made the final decisions. Mr. Webster has been, his position has been eliminated, I guess because he actually had some good ideas. What are we doing now? You guys aren't going to provide any oversight at all, any environmental? What about the fact that the south end of Patterson Lake is in the geosensitive area for McAllister Springs? You guys have just shined me on that. When I asked you to negotiate about the fact that 500 feet were left out, you don't want to negotiate, even though obviously you can't do anything on that property. You've overcharged me for a dwelling that doesn't have plumbing or windows. I mean, I feel very targeted. So can you tell me anything about who's going to actually be in charge now? Who's going to make decisions about whether you kill my lily pads or not?
So the board, I will respond to this if it's okay with the board. The board hasn't made a final decision yet. We have instructed the interim, or not, we've instructed the Assistant County Manager, Rob Gelder, to look into other options of managing lake management districts, but we have not decided as a board anything yet. There will be a presentation scheduled for November 9th. At what time?
2:30.
At 2:30 PM, where Assistant County Manager Rob Gelder will be walking with us through the different options. And at that point is where we're going to be deciding whether we're going to go one way or another, or what is.
What are the two options, one way or another?
I think all of us are willing, I think,
We just don't know.
yeah, we just don't know yet, right? We'll
You
know
know,
more.
this has been going on for 2.5 years, and you've always been in a state of flux. You always tell me we're changing this program. Pretty soon we're going to release what the new rules are, tell you who the new people are who are going to decide. But no, you're washing your hands of that. You don't even want to talk about it now. I guess I'll quit.
Could I comment on one thing, Madam Chair? I would, Mr. Trowbridge, you've got a lot of issues, and I believe any of us will meet with you. I know I will, and it looked like Commissioner Mensah, the chair, will. So if you want to set that appointment up, we have no problem with that. But I did want to mention that you mentioned some taxing issue on a building that was maybe not quite livable. So you can take that up with the Board of Equalization. That's a board of citizens that review those type of complaints. Or you can go into the assessor's office, and they're pretty receptive about hearing your concerns about tax issues. So I just wanted to point that out. Sorry, we can't take a lot of time discussing that today, but call our assistants and we'll get with you.
Okay, anyone else in the boardroom? Okay, we'll move on to Zoom.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have Shelley Willis on Zoom. Ms. Willis, would you like to provide testimony today? She is not unmuting. And the rest of the people on the screen are county employees.
Joel Bremer?
Joel Bremer's a county.
Okay, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to provide public testimony? Can you please raise your hand if you're here for that? Okay, nope. So with that, we will go ahead and conclude public comment. Next is county manager's update.
I have no update this afternoon, thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to maybe do a little update on the county manager job position?
Yes. We are in the process of posting, and I'm just gonna double check that. The county manager job announcement has been posted. It can be found on www.governmentjobs.com. And we are also posting that announcement on other professional websites such as the ICMA, WASAC, and any other suggestions county employees may have for places to post this announcement. It will be open through November 30, and at that time, we'll review the applications. And if there are viable candidates in the pool, we'll arrange interviews at that time.
Thank you. Okay, any questions?
I guess one follow-up on that is, my understanding is that there's a possibility we are going to open up again and continue on, depending on
Depending
the
on who we draw.
applications. Okay.
That's correct.
Glamorous opportunity out there, guys.
Yep. Be the county manager.
County manager.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Next is our consent items. There's 3 items, 3A through 3C. Is there an item on the consent agenda that commissioners would like to remove?
No.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve consent items 3A through 3C.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, moving on to department items. Items 4A is the approval of the voucher list from the auditor's office. Interim County Manager?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So this item is your regular weekly approval of all checks that were issued by the county during the week of October 9th. This voucher list includes a payment for tenant improvements at the atrium building, for the installation of a secure fence and electric gate for secure parking for county vehicles in the amount of approximately $54,000. That is one of the many items. The entire voucher list totals $3,797,965.46.
Okay, any questions on item 4A? Commissioner Edwards?
I don't think I'm gonna get into a long dissertation on this issue, but I do have concerns, and I'll reflect that in my vote, ma'am.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Mensah? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the voucher list for the week of October 9th, 2023 for a combined amount of $3,797,965.46.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Not at this time, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
A nay?
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, item 5A from the Commissioner's Office is Economic Development District Resolution, and Jenica Machado, our Economic Development Manager, will report on this item.
Good afternoon, Jenica Machado, Economic Development Manager. I'm here today to bring forward the Economic Development District Resolution. We've met 3 times since 2021 to review and discuss Thurston County joining a defunct Economic Development District, or EDD. This was previously known as Colpack, and the other counties in the EDD include Pacific, Mason, and Grays Harbor. The EDD will facilitate funding and technical assistance programs funded through the U.S. Economic Development Administration. The EDD will be governed by a board of directors comprised of 4 EDC executives and housed at the Thurston EDC at no additional cost to the county. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
I don't have any questions, but I might comment that this will open us up to another avenue of grant possibilities in the future. So it's just a move very similar to our Economic Development Council activities, but it broadens our horizon. And I just mentioned that for the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Mensah? Okay, no questions for me. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve a resolution for a comprehensive economic development strategy and formation of an economic development district known as the Pacific Salish EDD.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, moving on to community planning and economic development. Item 6A is to set a public hearing for comprehensive plan docket item CPA-4, capital improvement program, and Andrew Bond, associate planner, is here to present this item. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Andrew Bond here with Community Planning. Staff are requesting the Board of County Commissioners set a public hearing for December 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. on the annual update to the Thurston County Capital Improvement Program. This will align with the budget public hearings that you will have on the 4th and 5th. The 2024 to 2029 Capital Improvement Program is Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan and is the 6-year financial plan for capital facilities needed to maintain important infrastructure and level of service throughout the county. The CIP is updated annually and fulfills the capital facilities planning element of the Growth Management Act. Funding sources, project cost, and project descriptions are included in the CIP. Capital projects include transportation facilities, sewer and water infrastructure, solid waste, stormwater facilities, parks and trails, and county buildings. Planned capital facility projects also include schools, fires, and other special purpose districts are included in the CIP. The CIP is not a budget, but a plan for future action. Project costs and funding sources do align with the county budget. The Planning Commission reviewed this item at a work session on August 16th. A public hearing was held with the Planning Commission on September 20th to accept public testimony. At that public hearing, the Planning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval of the 2024 to 2029 capital improvement program. The board was briefed on July 17th, where all departments provided an overview of all the projects included in this year's CIP. The BoCC was also briefed on October 18th, where staff provided the Planning Commission recommendation. A 60-day notice of the proposed adoption was provided to the Washington State Department of Commerce on September 22nd, and a SEPA determination of non-significance was issued on September 22nd as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Andrew, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? No questions for me. Is there a motion?
Move to set a public hearing for December 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard on the annual update to the Thurston County Capital Improvement Program, Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, and then item 6B is the final action for the Development Code Docket Item A-19 Wireless Code Update, and back to Andrew.
Awesome. Andrew Bond with Community Planning again. Staff are requesting the Board of County Commissioners adopt the Development Code Docket Item A-19 Wireless Communication Facilities, which will amend Title 20 to update the county's wireless facility regulations for compliance with federal regulations. The Board directed staff to update the code to provide sufficient requirements and standards for wireless facilities while complying with federal law. The code establishes permitting process for numerous types of wireless facilities, the criteria for approval, and the design guidelines for each of these types of facilities. This item is a board-initiated proposal ranked 11 out of 18 on the Development Code docket. The proposed amendments include changes to Chapter 20.03 definitions, 20.54 special use chapter, and a complete repeal and replace of Chapter 20.33 wireless communication facilities. And I'm going to provide a kind of an overview of the timeline. This project started approximately in May of 2021 with 3 work sessions with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 2nd, 2021. In response, the Planning Commission requested the Board of County Commissioners form a stakeholder committee with community representatives. On June 23rd, 2021, the board directed the formation of the stakeholder committee with 4 representatives from the community, 2 representatives from wireless providers, and 2 planning commission members, with a set limitation of 3 stakeholder meetings. Between October and December of 2021, the stakeholder committee met 3 times with staff and Thurston County Legal. Between February and August of 2022, the Planning Commission held 7 additional work sessions. On August 3rd, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the draft code, voting 5-3 with 1 commissioner absent and 3 dissenting, and providing a minority report to the board. On October 12th, the Board of County Commissioners reviewed the proposed amendments and process to date, and on January 10th, set a public hearing for February 7th. On August 3rd, staff came back and briefed the board with 3 remaining topics to address: setback standards, radio frequency emissions, and noticing for administrative permits. On August 23rd and October 4th, staff came back with options for the board to consider, and at the October 4th meeting, the board confirmed our approach and directed us to submit final action. And then to ensure the successful implementation of the ordinance, the effective date is delayed until January 1st to allow staff to implement the changes needed and to address the administrative policy. Thank you. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you, Andrew.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
Did I hear you say, Andrew, that after the community stakeholder work group completed its work, the Planning Commission had 7 additional work sessions?
Yes.
Okay, well, anyway, that's, I didn't even realize they had that many. So that just kind of shows the difficulty, because we usually wouldn't have a community advisory work group on a Planning Commission item typically, pretty rare. And then after that group provided its input, 7 more sessions, and then all the ones you outlined to the board, just show the complexity and some difficulty of some of the issues surrounding it. What's I think important to remember is that the federal law puts some pretty significant sideboards on what the Board of County Commissioners can do. And a lot of what we wrestled with, part of what we wrestled with was what's the right thing, and then part of it was like, well, what's the legal thing that we can do within our authority, local authority? Because there isn't as much local authority as some folks might like there to be. So anyway, I think I'm just trying to underscore the difficulty of this issue. There were multiple layers of questions to be answered, and I thank everybody, staff, planning commissioners, community stakeholders who helped us get through it and get to this point. And then we can see how it functions, and, the board can always come back, and within the legal authority we have, we can always come back and make changes if we see examples of this just not working for the community. So I'd like everybody to continue to kind of monitor for us and let us know how it's going. But we got to get this done finally, so here we are.
I think this is another example on how we get put in a box and we have to be able to comply within that box. And we really pushed the boundaries of that box. I mean, there was a lot of work that went into it. It was extremely complicated, and just echo what Commissioner Menzer has laid out, and thanking staff and the Planning Commission as well as the advisory group for all the work on this, because it wasn't something where I think I said it in one of our brief sessions. It was like, I feel out of my depth here. It's just so complex, and trying to educate myself as much as possible in this. So thank you, Andrew, for all of your work on this. I'm sure you're ready to kind of shut the chapter on this. Okay. Motion.
I move to approve an ordinance amending Title 20, Chapters 2003, 23.3, and 25.4 to update county wireless facility regulations for compliance with federal regulations.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 6C is request for proposals for Thurston County Periodic Comprehensive Plan Update. And Maya Teeple, Senior Planner, will present on this item.
Thank you, Commissioner. Maya Teeple, Senior Planner with Community Planning. This item before you is to request the board to authorize the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development to issue a request for proposals for professional services to assist Thurston County in completing the Periodic Comprehensive Plan Update. This request would generate a list of qualified professional consultants to complete related components to the periodic update that we don't have the technical expertise in-house to complete. Under the Growth Management Act, counties and cities are required to periodically update their comprehensive plans to bring it up to date with changes in state law. And in Thurston County, this update is due by June 30th of 2025. This bid does have a few specific components that are outlined to include State Environmental Policy Act draft and an environmental impact statement, updates related to the new housing requirements under state law, development of a new climate element consistent with legislative changes this past year, and an update to the future land use map and corresponding land use element, as well as associated development regulation changes to housing and climate. The county, at its discretion, can hire either one professional services or several professional consultants generated by this RFP for portions or all of the tasks listed. The RFP would be issued this Friday, November 3rd, and would be open through December 1st. And the ballpark budget is around $900,000. All of that funding will be supported by 2 grants that we are getting from the Washington State Department of Commerce. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? Okay, no questions for me. Is there a motion?
I move to authorize the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development to issue a request for proposals for professional services to assist Thurston County in completing related components of the periodic comprehensive plan update.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Roberts?
Aye.
Commissioner Metzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, next is thank you, Maya. Public Health and Social Services, item 7A, Housing Services Agreement with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization for Treatment Sales Tax Fund, and Shaylin Sowers, Data Analyst, will report on this item.
Hello, County Commissioners. Shaylin Sowers, Treatment Sales Tax. As you know, $500,000 in treatment sales tax TST funds were set aside by the board in the 2023 TST budget for the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization, also known as the TMBHASO, to purchase a house to support individuals with behavioral health needs. Today, I'm asking for your approval of the Housing Services Agreement that provides $500,000 in one-time TST funds to the ASO for purchase of and necessary improvements to a 3-bedroom residential home within walking distance to a bus line in Thurston County, in which to house individuals who are participating in a coordinated chemical dependency or mental health treatment program. The agreement duration would be January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. And this agreement and lien package were created in partnership with the Public Health and Social Services Housing Team and has also been cleared by the Prosecuting Attorney's Office.
Okay, questions?
No questions, thank you.
No? Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Housing Services Agreement with the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization for treatment sales tax funds for a total maximum amount of $500,000 for the duration of January 1, 2023 to December 31st, 2023, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Roberts?
Aye.
Commissioner Metzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7B. Contracts and contract amendments of Consolidated Homeless Grant Inflationary Funds. And Keely Marino, very excited to be here.
So excited to be here, yes. Good afternoon, Keely Marino with Public Health and Social Services. I'm here to seek your approval for housing contracts and contract amendments between the county and 11 nonprofits that are providing homeless response services to distribute the Consolidated Homeless Grant Inflationary Funds in the amount of $749,702 for this 2023 program year, and to authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract amendments and any future amendments that do not change the approved dollar amount by more than 10%. So as you know, or you may not know, the majority of the homeless crisis response system, specifically homeless response services, are funded through document recording fees at the local and the state level. This year, as we came into our funding round for the biennium, across the state, actually, all homeless crisis response systems and their COCs were anticipating a significant decrease in revenue from those document recording fees due to increased interest rates across the board and house owners not refinancing their homes or buying homes at the same rate in previous years. And so the Department of Commerce, through the Housing Assistant Unit, sent all communities 4 different buckets of money to fill those gaps for the decrease in revenue. One specific pot of funding, the Consolidated Homeless Grant Inflationary Funds, were to specifically support the workforce. So frontline staff, those who are working directly with people experiencing homelessness and our homeless crisis response system. So on the 27th of September, the RHC approved a plan that was presented by the Homeless Services Advisory Board to determine how we would distribute these funds. We did meet with the providers back in July and had been moving forward with the Homeless Services Advisory Board to come up with a process that felt equitable and would meet the needs of the stated expectations of the funds. And then on October 2nd, our staff provided a survey to the agencies that are contracted and those not contracted even in our homeless crisis response system to see how many full-time equivalent employees are doing direct service work with those people experiencing homelessness and making under $28 an hour. So those were the eligibility criteria. 11 agencies responded, and they provided a number of FTEs according to eligibility criteria. We took those numbers and we divided them into the total amount being awarded, which is that 702. And based on the number of FTEs that were eligible and reported, that equates to about $3,796 per FTE to be distributed throughout our homeless crisis response system. So 197 FTEs were eligible under this, through the survey and through that process. So today what we're asking is that we approve these contracts to distribute funds according to FTEs per these agencies, what they've reported, and to support their workforce, either through stipends or bonuses, to just keep them, make it sustainable to do really, really difficult work. These contracts, once they're executed, will be backdated to July 1st, 2023, and will end on June 30th of 2024. This is a one-year contract, but we expect these contracts to be renewed in the 24-25 year. And that's all. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards.
And this money that we're going to be passing out is federal or state dollars that are coming down through the county to help deal with the situation.
Absolutely. It's a pass-through state funds.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Menzer.
No, Keely.
Okay, thank you. I'm ready for a motion, sir.
Okay, I move to approve housing contracts and contract amendments between the county and 11 nonprofit organizations to distribute consolidated homeless grant inflationary funds in the amount of $749,702 for the 2023 program year, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any future amendments that do not change the approved dollar amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you, Keely. Okay, item 7C is to set a public hearing for the 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. Thomas Webster, Senior Program Manager, will report on this item. Go ahead, Tom.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Webster with Public Health and Social Services. So I'm here this afternoon to ask you to set a public hearing for November 21st at 3:30 p.m. To take comment on the 2022 Department of Housing and Urban Development Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. This is an annual report that's required by HUD. We receive federal funds from HUD through two sources. One is the Community Development Block Grant Program, and the other is the Home Investment Partnership Program. We are required by HUD to have two public hearings per year. One we have in June when we issue our annual performance, our annual report, our annual plan, action plan of what we're going to do. And this reports reports to the public on how we use those funds. So the report for this year is for program year 2022, which covers the period between September 1, 2022 to August 31st of 2023. The plan will be available for public comment by the end of this week, November 3rd. And we'll be taking public comment, so you can provide written comments as well as provide public testimony on the 21st. After that time, we will submit that plan to HUD. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions at this point, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? No? Okay. No questions for me. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to set a public hearing for November 21st, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard, at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, Room 110, to receive public comment on the 2022 HUD Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or CAPER.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, item from Public Works, item 8A is to set a public hearing to consider the transfer of portions of county roads to the Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Reservation. And Matt Unzelman, County Engineer, will report on this item. Go ahead, Matt.
Good afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. Short and sweet today. Public Works is requesting to set a public hearing to consider the transfer of ownership of all or portions of 5 roads that provide access to the Chehalis Reservation. These roads include Anderson Road, south of US 12, 195th Avenue, east of Anderson Road, 188th Avenue between Anderson Road and Moon Road, and Moon Road, south of US 12, and 183rd Avenue, west of Moon Road. We're requesting the public hearing to be scheduled for November 28th, which will allow for almost a month of notice.
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Matt, I guess maybe for the public so they understand what we're doing, if we do it after we have this public hearing, what would be the benefit to the taxpayers here in Thurston County if we were to do this?
It's more of what would be an improved, the tribe wants to be able to maintain their maintenance efforts to these roads. So i.e. during like a snow event. So whereas these roads might be very important to the tribe, the county has other priorities, and that includes plowing roads with much higher traffic volumes, i.e. Martin Way, Old Pacific Highway 99. So it's more of they're trying to control their level of service.
So it'll save the taxpayers money and they'll still have access, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
Matt, when the, real quick, when the public hearing is set, if it's set here in a moment, will the tribal council be notified somehow of what action the board's taken today, or have they already been notified?
They've already been notified. In fact, they're looking at getting permission for their chairman to get permission to actually the authority to sign it, so that as soon as after the public hearing, if we decide to execute it, they can execute it that following week immediately.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to set a public hearing for November 28, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as matter may be heard in room 110 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast to formally accept and consider public comment on transferring portions of county roads to the Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Reservation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay. Next, item 8B is to set a public hearing to consider updates to Thurston County water and sewer utility rates and charges. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager, will report on this item. Tim, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This item is for the board to consider setting a public hearing to hear comments related to proposed updates to Thurston County water and sewer utility rates and charges. The public hearing on revenue requested for December 5th aligns with the board's budget adoption schedule. Proposed adjustments to water and sewer utility rates are based upon a rate study performed earlier by the FCS Group Incorporated and move the utilities toward a consolidated rate structure. The board received a briefing on the proposed rates on June 22nd. Current utility advisory committees have been briefed on the recommended adjustments, and a communication and outreach plan has been implemented that includes a web page and utility bill inserts. And with that background, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions. I think we've covered this quite a few times. Thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
No, tail end of a long road, and hopefully it'll serve our public better.
Okay, no questions for me. Ready for a motion.
I move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, room 110 to accept and consider public comments on a proposed resolution adjusting Thurston County water and sewer utility rates and charges.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay. Item 8C is to set a public hearing to consider proposed 2024 through 2025 rate increases for Lake Lawrence Management District number 22. Right back to you, Tim.
Thank you. This item is for the board to consider setting a public hearing to hear comments related to proposed 2024-2025 rate increases for Lake Lawrence Management District Number 22. The public hearing on revenue requested for December 5th aligns with the board's budget adoption schedule. Per the resolution of formation for the Lake Lawrence Management District, annual increases of up to 5% annually are considered to keep pace with inflationary factors and to address lake management initiatives. The recommended rate increases for 2024-2025 follow active engagement with the ratepayers of the district as conducted by the steering committee. The Lake Lawrence Steering Committee is recommending and staff is supporting a 3% annual increase for both 2024 and 2025. The board received a briefing on the proposed rates on June 22nd. And with that background, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions at this point, but the public should know that this has been an ongoing process for, I think over 30 years now out at Lawrence Lake. So just part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Munzer? No questions for me. I'm ready for a motion.
Move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 5th at 3:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, Room 110, to accept and consider public comments on proposed 2024 to 2025 rate increases for Lake Lawrence Management District Number 22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, moving on to our standing items. 9A, Commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards, go ahead, sir.
I was tortured for the last couple of weeks. So I thought we might as well make light of this miserable couple of weeks we went through on the budget process, which was no fun, but we theoretically accomplished a few things. And I won't get into that at this point because we're not quite done. But it took a lot of time and staff put a lot of work into it. So I want to thank staff for that and my seatmates. We all tolerated each other with very differing opinions. And I think that's healthy. Then Commissioner Mentzer and I both attended the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization and Governing Board and try to make an acronym out of that. Attended STEADY, the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative, the Mayor's Gala over in Lacey to benefit veterans. And, but in the end, most of the time was spent on budget issues around even things like lake management and animal regulation, and most everything we do has some connection with the budget process. So thank you, staff, for tolerating all of us. That's it for me, ma'am.
Thank you. Commissioner Mentzer?
I attended, as Commissioner Edwards mentioned, the Mayor's Gala supporting the Veterans Hub, the STEADY meeting, the BHO meeting, attended an open house at the Dispute Resolution Center, attended a Lacey City Council meeting where I was really there about the public safety measure, but I thought I would report to my seatmates. They had a very interesting proposal from their youth not proposal, but presentation from their youth council. And I thought they did a very clever structure. Their youth council is its own council and meets. And then each member of the youth council is assigned to one of the adult committees. So in kind of one swoop, they're getting input from the youth council and then youth input into each one of their other committees. So every youth council member serves, and they rotate that through. I thought that was really cool. So that was interesting to hear. I was in Bucota for casket racing. As Commissioner Mejia and I brought trophies home to to fill the trophy cases of the Commissioner's office. I attended a fundraising event for the Deschutes Estuary Restoration Team. I attended the Thurston Thrives Executive Officials Breakfast and the State Building Code Council. The main issue going on there that's going on, and it relates to our local governments, is what's called the WUI code, which is the Wildlife Urban Interface Code. This all got passed before I got on the Building Code Council, but folks over the summer were showing me that there's all sorts of holes and problems. And at first I didn't know if they were right or wrong. I was just trying to educate myself. Well, now everybody's catching up, and now it's not just activists trying to protect trees, it's building code officials, it's county commissioners, it's state organizations, it's the the Association of Washington Cities has taken a stand against this. All of the building code officials of Tumwater, Olympia, and Lacey are collaborating on a letter to try to stop the implementation of this code. So momentum is building. I supported a motion at the last meeting to tee up some items for the November meeting. So that's hopefully going to yield some more discussion and some positive steps. The real issue, there's a few issues. DNR was asked to create mapping, and the mapping is potentially overbroad. The mapping is no one's even clear what the mapping applies to, even if the mapping was right. There are building hardening requirements, and then there's defensible space requirements. So how many trees you have to cut around a building to protect it from wildfire if it's close to a forested area. Well, the way the mapping's done, just to give you an example, essentially the entire city of Tumwater is in the zone. So if it's interpreted in the most broad manner, every strategy targets and all the work that their tree groups and climate groups have done. And a lot of people think it's overkill, and at least either in terms of what's required or where it applies. So there's kind of two levels there. What should the rules be, and what areas should those rules apply to? And then there's the whole procedural problem of if it is wrong and everyone's saying it's wrong, how do we fix it? And the Building Code Council's rules are so complicated and arcane that even the staff that have been there years longer than I've been there are having trouble figuring out the right procedural approach. So anyway, that's what I've been working on after budget meetings are closed.
Madam Chair, could I ask Commissioner Mintz or something? It's my understanding that Lacey took an action on our public safety measure.
We took two separate actions.
What was that going to be? They were going to spend money for law enforcement on their portion, or?
So the first measure they took was to endorse passage of the public safety measure. Secondly, they made a commitment, the city's portion is more flexible because the rules that we put on ourselves didn't apply to the cities, but they wanted their citizens to know that they would be doing similar to us, not supplanting, not spending it on other things. So they took an action to say the Lacey portion will also apply to law enforcement capacity. And I think that was just so that their public would feel more comfortable that the money would go to something, they would know what the money's going for when they vote for it, versus it just being, more flexible like it will be for Olympia and Tumwater. But people should remember Olympia has already passed two different measures related to that. So probably makes perfect sense that Olympia's is a little more flexible in light of the actions they've already taken.
Thank you. I just wasn't able to attend, so thanks for that briefing.
Yep.
For me, I attended just for a little bit. We were in the middle of budget deliberations, but I attended at least for 2 hours the County Road Administration Board and talked a lot about the gas tax and how that's impacting road functions all around. I was kind of sad to miss the presentation, so I'll have to catch on to those later, but that was basically what took over the conversation. I know that Representative Fye as well as Senator Elias came and presented a little bit about what their objectives from the transportation side is going to be this legislative session. So I'll be catching up on those probably later on this week. I attended the Regional Housing Council, gave a little bit of an update on the legislative agenda and kind of what's being planned in terms of that. So we'll probably be seeing something a little bit more substantial next RHC meeting. Attended the intercity transit. Of course, the big decision point has been the hiring of the new of their new executive director, and they were doing interviews last week. They had it down to 3, and Intercity Board, Transit Authority Board will be appointing someone this Wednesday at their meeting. So that's going to be
Secret till
concluding.
then.
It's secret till then. The Tenino Chamber of Commerce, I attended that, as well as the study meeting with my seatmates. Attended the 3 cities meeting, and that's where we discussed a little bit more about the item this morning, which is the Public Facilities District and the expansion of that. Attended the Mayor's Gala with my seatmates as well, and Thurston Thrives breakfast. So next is the county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of October 31st, 2023.
Thank you, Commissioner. This schedule is for items that appear on at least 2 of your calendars, and items that are only one of you intend to attend, or meetings that only one of you intend to attend, are not on the shared master calendar. Following today's meeting at 3:30, you have 2 public hearings. The first on the Thurston County Code, Chapter 8.22.010 regarding membership of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. The second, also at 3:30 or as soon as possible thereafter, is a public hearing on the Yelm Joint Plan update. Tomorrow, Wednesday, November 1st, from 9 to 4, you are scheduled in the Sequential Intercept Model Update meeting to be held in the HR training room. That's here in the atrium on the 2nd floor. And on Thursday, November 2nd, the Sequential Intercept Model Update continues from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. Then on Thursday at 2 o'clock, you have the A25 Forest Land Conversion Code update. And at 2:30, a briefing on rental assistance. On Friday, November 3rd at 2 o'clock, you are scheduled in the new employee meet and greet. And on Monday, November 6th, the only items on your shared calendar are the Kiwanis meeting at noon at Tugboat Annie's, and the WASAC, that's the Washington State Association of Counties, meeting also at noon on Zoom. And then at 9:15, Tuesday, November 7th, we are back in this room for agenda setting. That's your week.
Thank you. Any questions?
No questions, thank you.
I was under the impression that the sequential intercept model, I was the only commissioner available. Is that true, or are you guys going to be there as well?
It's on my calendar.
I don't have an answer for you at this point in time. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm just curious.
It's on my
I had checked, and I was told that one of you would not be available, that one of you would be attending for sure, and that one of you would probably attend but might be late.
Okay.
So it's on the master calendar,
Just in
depending on
case.
what you all choose to do.
I believe I've got the Washington Insurance Pool.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
I'll be there Wednesday morning and then all of Thursday. I miss Wednesday afternoon, but I'll let Leah know.
Right. This is a type of meeting where you can attend as you are able.
Okay. So before our 3:30, it is 3:03, we'll go ahead and take a recess until 3:30, where we will pick up with our 2 public hearings.